Hey, hello. Good evening, everyone. The non-dual passion in us greets the non-dual passion in you. We're not very passionate about technology at this moment. We're having some hiccups at this side. So, passion. Let's forget about all of that and get on with it. Passion, what on earth are we talking about? So, like all non-dual qualities, passion is often misconceived as being some kind of a lusty, blind, maybe sexual, a little bit superfluous, a little bit recreational thing or biochemical happening. And of course, when you look towards religious Catholicism and you think about the Passion of Christ, then you see that the word has another kind of meaning altogether. You know, what was it that he was really into getting crucified? He was really digging their miracles. No, there was something else going on. And there is a mystery in the word itself, because passion as a word in its origin actually means suffering, to suffer. And then if we look into the word suffering, we've got another mystery within that, which is that suffering is synonymous with the word experience. To suffer is to experience is to suffer. I suffer your company. I want suffrage. I want to be able to vote. I want to exist. So sometimes language tells this kind of tale that passion has actually something to do with the core substance of experience, which has something to do with the substance of suffering. Now, maybe at our source, at the non-dual source where we are all infinitely one and empty and in a state of unbounded relief at not having to be anything at all. Maybe there, when we're awoken and drawn into form, into life, into creation, there is this feeling like a little child that says, no, I don't want to wake up, angry almost, reluctant to kind of pull back. No, please don't make me. Please don't make me wake up. It's a kind of suffering to come out of the formless into form. And maybe some of us recognize that from the morning when you wake up, that it's like, oh, I don't want to get up. I don't want to come to life. That kind of pull back to the place of sleep. That back to that boundless, endless, peaceful space. Not to have to come into this shape, into this body, into this experience, which might have some pleasure but has pain. And if it doesn't have pain now, might have pain later. Where we suffer. So you already get a sense that suffering is pretty much a physical event. It's connected with being physically alive, and also passion, synonymous with suffering, only it sounds a little bit less awful, is also a physical event connected with being physically alive, being physically part of the whole. But what on earth is that? Because we're not talking abstractions here, we're talking about the substance of you. What do these words even mean? What is it to be physically alive, physically part of the whole in creation? We're talking about your life, your experience of being alive. It's not often that we meet each other. Maybe that's how we should open sessions in non-dual therapy. You say, okay, how has the experience of being alive been for you so far? Because then it's clear who we're talking to. We're talking to one which is having an experience of being alive. We're talking about the relationship with suffering, the relationship with experience, the relationship with life, and the relationship with passion. What has awoken into life? What awakes into life? Who are we? Who are we before we are anybody at all? This source which is awakening, that when we're a child asleep and in the back of the car, totally gone, and then we're woken up to get out of the car. What is it that's awoken? And that at first is irritable and angry, confused maybe. Where am I? What am I? What is this? Why are you disturbing my peace? So on the other side of the spectrum, we all know those feelings of being absolutely passionate, sometimes, maybe once in our lives, very, very excited, very much feeling like we disappear and we are part of the whole environment. We become the dance, we become the music, we become the movement that we're making, we become the sport. And we look forward to it because it gives us that feeling of oneness. This place of passion where we disappear within the pure aliveness of an activity. But somewhere between this and that, there is this place of suffering. There is a disconnect. There's a separation. There's a division. Now, partly when we look at the ingredients of passion, at first it's just this clicking into place of being the right person at the right place, doing the right thing, the right soul in the right universe, opening up, unfolding, growing, being, shining. But then, as passion begins to take form, how we would typically describe passion would be as a kind of fury, like a volcano. It's a kind of fire that moves through us. It's like a vitality which is almost too much to contain, something which purifies, which removes impediments. Whatever happens, I am going to get to see that football game. Everybody get out of my way, because this is what I feel passionate about. It clears the way. It's a path breaker. It's a devotion, but it's got love in it as well, which means it's got pain in it as well. It's got a rage, and it's got a kind of agony of the heart, because something wants to be, and this vitality is there to help it break through, almost like a violence. So this aspect of our human makeup that shows up as rage, violence, destruction, breaking through, not caring to who's in the way, just have to get to the manifestation point, to the horizon of manifestation. This aspect, the rage, this quantity of power moving through, this quantity of vitality, this recklessness almost, this freedom of movement moving through, this lack of social nicety, this is not really allowed to be here, which means that often the passion which moved through us as children, the naughtiness, the vitality, the joy, the pure rage at being alive, rage for life, this ferocious love for life, this was too much for the context. And we learned that it wasn't acceptable. It's been rejected. It's not okay to be that kid that dances on the table in the kindergarten and spreads water everywhere in joy. It's not okay. It gets punished. And we learn not to allow it. But how do we not allow it? This is the whole fire of the universe, the same stuff that made the Big Bang. This is the stuff that goes through volcanoes, the stuff that creates galaxies, moving through us as part of the whole. How on earth do we stop it? How do we get a grip on it? How do we control it? So what we learn to do generation after generation is to freeze it, to numb it, to calcify it, to make it dense, to put a dense shield somewhere between the heart and the physical response, the physical excitement, to dumb it down, to play it down, to step aside from it, to devitalize it, vitalize it, to bypass it. And then what we've got is these kind of areas of freeze, which might, if we're lucky, show up as depression, but might actually just appear as total and absolute dull, shoot yourself boredom, utter and total boredom with life. Because that's what it feels like when you're really, really, really excited to be alive and suddenly you're not allowed to be. And it's frozen. It's like where there is all this sensitivity, all of this intelligence, all of this vitality available, suddenly there is, this cannot be. And the energy, the nerve system has to pull back and stop feeling it. And it creates a dense block. And inside the dense block, there is a kind of overall feeling of like boredom. It's saying there is nothing happening here. It is senseless. Life is senseless. It's senseless to go there. And the programming is very much, so don't bother going into the energy of boredom. That's not an emotion. There's nothing there. There's no work to be done. Basically, if you've got this boredom going on in the background of your being, or the background of your mind, or the background of your heart, there's something wrong with you. You're very arrogant. You're a naughty child. You're not a good learner. Maybe you've got ADHD. Looks like it. Because on the other side, where there is this block of boredom, frozen passion, where everything's just, how do you say, attacking itself within this density, which is too irritable to even feel. On the other side of that, because the boredom is unbearably unpleasant, like a scorching rock, there is this turbulence of activity, overactivity, to compensate for the absolute slowdown and lack of activity which is there in the boredom. And in this turbulence of activity, we're getting thrown out of ourselves and thrown out of ourselves and thrown out of ourselves in patterns of addiction. Where can I find the passion? If the passion's not allowed in here, it's got to go somewhere. So the energy goes like this. It's, oh, I'm really passionate about the football game. I'm really passionate about the whiskey. I need some substance out there which will allow me to be. Maybe the first substance I need is that the world will tell me it's okay to be passionate. It's okay to be here. But the world rarely tells me that. I need to find a form. Maybe a political cause where we can all be passionate together and it's legalized. But then I have to go back again and again for more. I've got to train myself into patterns. Patterns in which I get the vitality from the outside and the permission from the outside to be allowed to be passionate on the inside. And after that, after all the excitement of my addictions, after the night on the town, putting the substance aside, when the physical addiction to a substance has gone back, after that, I'm clean, I'm sobering up. I come back, I need to come home. I'm the prodigal child. I need to come home to myself. I come home and I find boredom. Oh my God. I come back to the promised land and what I find is senseless energy of boredom. There is nothing here on the inside. And there grows this sense of lack. And so I reach out again towards the addictive substance or the addictive pattern or the addictive relationship or the addictive behavior to try and get something of that sense, feeling of being alive. So when we reverse engineer all of this, we have just a little bit of interest. Interest is part of passion. A little bit of soft, gentle interest. Doesn't have to be aggressive. In that space where the boredom is, in that energy. Is it dead, 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 or can it be awakened? What's it made of, this energy of boredom? What we might find is that at first, it begins to shed particles of itself. And these particles feel a little bit like irritation, anger, things that have upset us, feeling of injustice can be frozen in there. Kind of bitter feeling of not having been welcome in the world, which makes sense because that's how it was born, this boredom. Feeling of despair, suicidal things. I want to kill myself, because that's where the vitality is turning back on itself. It's all the vitality to break through is backfired on itself. So it's like this energy of creation is now becoming self-destructive within the boredom. But we can be interested because a process is beginning. Something of the vitality of passion is beginning to come free. Something of the system is beginning to come online. And this amazing thing happens when we begin to softly blend with the boredom and to be curious and to bring to life something of what's frozen within it. The speed of the other side, the turbulence, the addictive compulsions, all of this, the charge of that begins to go down. It begins to regulate little by little, and a clearing begins to happen. This clearing begins to happen in the vertical, where there suddenly begins to be space for some deeper passion to move through, some deeper vitality or fire or intelligence of life to move through. And what is this deeper passion? Remember that the word passion is embedded within the word compassion. So part of this deeper passion of the basic raw vitality of being physically alive in time, in space, as exactly who you are, part of this is the essence of pure experience, the vitality of pure experience. Even if it's illusion, it doesn't matter. It has its vitality. It's a substance. And this substance is connected with service, being of service to the whole, because we don't exist. There is this flow of passion, and there is this creative enterprise of which we are, for which we are here. But then service, what kind of service would that be? What kind of service would it be to be that we could be passionate? Why would passion have a relationship with service? Why can't it be narcissistic or hedonistic or I'm all right, Jack, my way or the highway? Partly because that just leads to more suffering, and the magic of true service happens when we fall down and we allow ourselves to meet with compassion, to really touch base with the core of where we have suffered in our lives. And we stop resisting it, and we stop arguing with it, and we stop contracting it or interfering with it. And we soberly allow it to be the experience that it is, without needing a justification or an apology or an excuse or to be measured, allowing ourselves to experience it directly. Now, when we fall into that emptiness and in that direct way allow ourselves to experience or suffer being here, and it might have it will have a unique flavor to it, which only you can do. The particular flavor of suffering will be incredibly original to you. But when we allow it, we allow ourselves to feel it, it's like a match on a fire which is just wanting to ignite in terms of service. Because when we allow the suffering, ourselves to be there for the suffering, we allow ourselves to be there for all suffering in that area. We don't get to separate between our private suffering and the other private suffering. For example, if we meet the suffering of abandonment, we touch pure abandonment, and it's the abandonment of the whole. It's the abandonment which is felt among all humans or among all forms of life, the experience of abandonment which exists. And when we agree to suffer it, we are in it with all the resources of true nature, with love, with peace, with compassion, with the sense of freedom, with the sense of okayness, with purity. We are agreeing to suffer it as a service to the whole. Now, in this movement, everything that was resisting being human and being alive suddenly flips around. And now this service, this passion stroke service, this crucifixion moment, turns everything around. An incredible vitality comes forward on behalf of the whole, which is ready to bring the resilience of being able to, or the compassion, which is able to be there in this suffering as a service to the whole, by bringing it into form, by expressing it, by writing poetry about it, by singing about it, by communicating about it, by reaching out to others who are in it, by teaching how not to come into the worst of it, by being there for others. So what happens when we rise up with passion, and our passion is to be there for children who have been abandoned, and we can reach them energetically. We don't run away when they come with that vibration of abandonment. We can be abandoned together with them because we're no longer afraid of it. What happens to the mojo of abandonment when two of you are being abandoned together, or three, or four, or maybe the whole human race is allowing themselves to carry this vibration of abandonment together? You can feel the magic that happens, the amount of suffering that falls away, the amount of love which comes online, the amount of care which comes online, the intelligence of the movement, and it's so very, very, very alive. So passion has an incredible intelligence, and for this, it does need that vitality. It needs that vitality which can look like rage. It can look like not caring too much about social niceties. It can look very unconditional and very direct and very on point. But it is never, if it was about the human personality, it will discard the human personality. If it was about the individual ego, it will shed the individual ego. It's a movement of life which is always on behalf of the whole. And we know we're coming there when we feel a rage of love, or we feel a power in the sense of peace. We feel an incredible freedom in our care when all of this basic vital sources of vitality begin to move through and apply themselves directly through manifestation on behalf of the whole. You see, everything's coming together. It's very, very, very for real. So that's a little bit about passion. Oh, I've got more time, but I will stop it there because I speed. That was a passionate talk in the end, despite the technological fuck up. We will take now a 5-minute break, and then we'll have a meditation to explore a little bit.
Hi, welcome back, everybody. So nice to see you all again tonight. So let's move into a guided meditation. So if you could find a place where you can sit down relaxed or lie down relaxed, I'd like you to kind of bring your conscious awareness when you found a relaxed position to your physical body. And maybe it's nice to just take some time to feel, you know, where it feels comfortable in the physical and where it feels less comfortable in the physical. And if you can just allow, without interfering, the comfort and the discomfort of the physical body, just trying to relax it. Then we are able to feel the aliveness of the body. So maybe we can connect with the aliveness of the physical body. We take just some time to experience this aliveness. And then I like you to regress back to a moment in your life that you felt really passionate, or you experienced passion. I'd like you to connect with the atmosphere of that moment, the atmosphere of your own unique passion. And maybe it's possible to allow this atmosphere, this vibration, to expand a little bit. To allow it to expand to all cells of the body, to every cell of the body. And then I like you to connect with the passion in another person. With the atmosphere of passion in another person. And experiencing, feeling the passion in another person. I'd like you to experience, to feel your own passion as well. Maybe it's possible to experience the passion of both of you for both of you. Then I'd like you to regress back to a moment that you felt really, really lonely. I'd like you to connect with the sense of loneliness at that moment. And maybe you can allow it to expand it a little bit. And then I'd like you to connect with the loneliness in one other person. And feel, sense the loneliness in that other person. And maybe you can experience the loneliness, the other person, and your own loneliness at the same time. Maybe it's possible to experience the loneliness on behalf of both of you. Maybe you can add another person and connect with the loneliness in the other person. And connect with the loneliness in the other person from your own loneliness. Maybe it's possible to experience the loneliness from all three of you. Maybe you can add another person. And another person. And another person. And experience the loneliness in all of you, for all of you. And then I would like you to let go of this and just connect with the physical body again. And just allow whatever needs to come forward to come forward. And then I like you to connect again with the sense of passion. the feeling of passion. And again, if you got a connection with the feeling of passion, maybe it's possible to allow it to expand. Maybe just follow this feeling of passion, to follow it as if it is your teacher. And just follow it to show you where it wants to express. How does your passion wants to express right now? And then I like you to connect with your physical body again. And with the places which are comfortable and the places which are less comfortable. And just allow them to be there without interfering. Yeah, maybe it's possible to feel the aliveness of your physical body, to experience the aliveness of the physical body again. And maybe it's possible to connect with your heart. And in connection with your heart, to connect with the sense of passion again. And to allow the sense of passion in your heart to take any form it needs to take. And just follow it. Okay, when we slowly are coming back from the meditation, we say goodbye on the people on the live stream and thank you for being there. And we hope to experience and feel you next week again. Bye.